a couple of weeks to Michael's comment when he said he felt like he was in church. Do you remember that, Michael?
Yeah. Yes.
So I said, why not do this? Power of prayer, Madam Lady Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, and unseen guests. I like that. Well, when I was a school teacher, Sunday school teacher, I was teaching young folks about Adam and Eve from the King James Version. I told them how God had taken a rib from Adam to make a helpmeet, and he made a woman, called her Eve. And I asked young Perry put up his hand. I said, who can tell me how Eve was made? And young Perry put up his hand and said, from a spare rib. So that was my first. You can't have humor in church. I love that. And when I see him tonight, or today, we have picnics and reunions, and he's got to be 50 years old, but I always remind him about his Sunday school experience. The same church. Years later, when I was getting married, I was an hour late getting to the church. I was left home without a ride with my dad and I. So when finally someone realized that was the case, someone came for me. I got to church, and during the beginning of the wedding, my husband looked up at me while we're kneeling. He said, I almost left, you know. And I said, but you had my car. I thought it was pretty bad because the water was running down. It was June, or was it July? I can't remember now. But the water was running down this poor guy. The minister, seeing that he had a captive audience, he had a sermon. So my husband didn't attend church that much. So when he was bowing there, and I had to say, but you had my car. Now, speaking of cars, this is before the wedding, when I was a young lady. I bought a car. Then I had my brother teach me how to drive. And I had an old Austin car, which was, it was reversed to Canadian. It was an English car. And it had a clutch and the gas, and I'm taking a test, and the driver up these hills in Owen Sound, he says, I want you to stop the car on the hill without using the brakes. So I stopped using the brakes, and I asked him, how do you do this? He says, well, you have to evaluate the clutch and the gas and hold it. So I turned the key on, and I started the car up. And then I did what he said, clutch and gas. And lo and behold, it held. I said, thank you, Jesus. I got my license. So now I'm taking off down the highway, and I had to use this going to Goderich. It was bumper to bumper up this big hill, and you put your brake, you have to start up again. You have to put your brakes on. My husband-to-be was there then, and he was driving, so I had to tell him how to hold the car on this hill so that we wouldn't go back into the car behind us. So that was a lesson well taught. Now, Toastmasters, I used to drive Allison home. And there's a story about these two ladies, Betsy and Marlene. They were my age, and they were going, Marley said to Betty, or whatever, she says, you know, you went through a red light. That's the second red light you went through. And she says, oh, I thought you were driving. So I had Allison in the car, we were talking away, and Allison said to me, Sally, did you know you went through a red light? I said, well, I guess it's too late now, we made it. True story, true story. Coming from Toastmasters down the hill here, and a white cat went across in front of me, and this far away from the windshield, he did a pirouette back onto the street. And I said, thank you, Jesus. A week later, the black cat wasn't so lucky, but I think I just bruised his tail. I'm sorry, but it's a true story. And, oh, there's so many stories when you get my age. Now, last week we had, Marley told us about a skunk and a raccoon. So, leaving here by myself, down Oakwood, and all of a sudden, in front of me come this skunk. This is about, just about how, right in front, I had to put the brakes on, and of course there was a car behind me wondering what I was doing that for. But then, when he tried to pass me, then he knew by Madam Toastmaster.